of Wales Institute of Science and Technology at Cardiff. So let's meet the teams, and first, Magdalen.
Ron Caffrey from West Hampstead, reading history.
Philip Egan from Bangor in Northern Ireland, doing research in ancient history.
And their captain?
Michael Imler from West Wickham in Kent, researching in English.
Conrad Arnander from Shillingford in Oxfordshire, reading chemistry.
And now, UWIST.
Paul Kavanagh from Chelmsford in Essex, reading law.
Anthony Williams from Readervraw near Swansea, studying town planning.
And their captain?
David Liner from Milford Haven, Pembrokeshire, reading town planning.
Brian Doherty from Liverpool, studying mechanical engineering.
So there's our great team of town planners from Wales. Usual rules, everyone on his own for a starter question for 10 points, and then a more valuable bonus of 15 to be discussed within the team. Let's go straight into this first quarterfinal. Here's your first starter for 10. Which novel, written as if it were an unusual autobiography, begins, "The first place that I can well remember was a large pleasant meadow with a pond of clear water in it. Some shady trees leaned over it."
UWIST Williams.
Laura Lee sided with Rosie.
No, from point of view, full question Malden, no confirming. Some shady trees leaned over it, and rushes and water lilies grew at the deep end. Over the hedge on one side we looked into a ploughed field, and on the other we looked over a gate at our master's house, which stood by the roadside, the narrator being a horse. You're on your own? On your own, no conferring. It is... We fooled them all. It is Black Beauty. Perhaps the girls only read Black Beauty these days. Biography of a horse, autobiography of a horse. The starter again. Which of the 5 Great Lakes of North America is solely in the United...
Magdalen Began.
Michigan.
Michigan in the United States. 10 points to Magdalen, first blood. A bonus of 15. First. In skiing, what term is used for a downhill trail of compacted snow?
Piste.
Piste, 5 points. Second, in which indoor sport is the same term piste used for the long, narrow area on which participants compete?
Fencing.
Fencing, 5 points. And last, what name is given to the Olympic event in which cross-country skiing is combined with rifle shooting?
Biathlon.
Biathlon, 5 points. A starter again. What is the name of the post office's special service of overnight courier delivery with a money-back guarantee, a name which suggests a means of conveying computer information by mail?
UWIST Kavanagh.
Data Post, 10 points to UWIST, and they're off, a bonus of 15. First, what does Dun mean in Gaelic, as in the poetic name Dunedin for Edinburgh?
Port.
No, it's a fortress. Second, which town in northern France was given to the English after the Battle of the Dunes in 1658 and was sold to France in 1662 by Charles II?
Dunkirk.
5 points. And last 5 points, who is the author of the Dune science fiction trilogy, including Dune Messiah and Children of Dune? Anyone?
Brian Aldiss.
It is...
Brian Aldiss.
No, Frank Herbert. To starter again. Who in the Bible, when asked by God, "From whence comest thou?" gives the very cool and non-committal reply, "From going to and fro in the earth and from walking up and down in it," the conversation occurring in the book of Job?
Magdalen Arnander.
Yes, Satan, 10 points. A bonus of 15. First, in which opera by Donizetti is Lucy Ashton in love with Edgar Ravenswood, but is tricked by her brother into marrying Lord Arthur Bucklow?
Lucia de Lammermoor.
Lucia de Lammermoor, 5 points. Second, what is the title of the Walter Scott novel on which that opera is based?
The Bride of Lammermoor.
The Bride of Lammermoor, 5 points. And last, what kind of creature precisely is a lammergeier? Anyone?
Sort of goat.
No, it's a vulture. Starter again. Which of these 5 chemical elements has the highest atomic number? Tungsten, lead, gold, mercury, and platinum.
Magdalen Arnander.
Lead.
Lead is correct, 82, 10 points, a bonus of 15. First, in which alcoholic-sounding battle of July 1777 did General Howe beat George Washington's army near Philadelphia, but without seriously damaging it? It is Battle of Brandywine at Brandywine Creek. Second, which department of northern France gives its name to the apple brandy made there?
Calvados.
Calvados, 5 points. And last, who on first seeing his German bride in 1795 said, "Harris, I am not well, pray get me a glass of brandy"?
It's George the next George the Fourth.
It would be George IV, correct. He was the Prince Regent at the time, but he became George IV, 5 points. Starter again. The following painters are grouped together as a school and are known by the name of which city? James Stark, George Vincent, Robert Ladbroke, John Thurtle, David Hodgson, Thomas Lound, John Crome, and John Sell.
Magdalen Imla.
Norfolk,
Which city?
Norwich.
Norwich. It's the Norwich School, you're right. They did all paint Norfolk. They're the Norwich School. A bonus of 15 to Magdalen. First, which small-sounding city is the capital of Arkansas?
Little Rock.
5 points. Second, which musical was based by Stephen Sondheim on Ingmar Bergman's Smiles of a Summer Night? Anyone?
A Little Night Music.
Little Night Music, 5 points. And last, which third country joined Czechoslovakia and Yugoslavia in the Mutual Defence Pact called the Little Entente in the 1920s? Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia, and...
Hungary.
No, Romania. Starter again. What did the three initials stand for, which were used in 1974 by the kidnappers of American heiress Patty Hearst?
Magdalen Began.
Symbionese Liberation Army.
Correct. SLA, Symbionese Liberation Army, 10 points to Magdalen, a bonus of 15. First, which writer from Alexandria in the 1st century AD described the Aeoli pile, a primitive kind of steam turbine, in his work called Pneumatica?
1st century AD.
1st century AD. Anyone? It was?
Hero.
Hero, correct, of Alexandria. Second, the first practical steam engine was built by an Englishman who took out a patent for it in 1698. Who was he? It was Thomas Savery. And last, 7 years later, a Dartmouth engineer improved Savery's design and produced the atmospheric steam engine which became standard for many years in mines. Who was he? You found a subject they don't fancy. It was Thomas Newcomen. We'll go to our picture question, our music question. I've got a music bonus of 15 coming, and here's the start. From which opera does this extract come? And at the end of the music, there will be an extra clue if you need it. You probably won't, but here it is.
Questo mar rosso mia molisse assidera. Come se addosso mi piovesse in stile.
Magdalen Caffrey.
Madam Butterfly.
No problem. Pendleton, Magdalen. Full question and the end clue if you want it. That's
Per
to you.
vendicarmi a fogo in faraon.
Right, now the clue is the character singing is at the time painting a picture of the Red Sea. Anyone? It is... No answers? Well, Magdalen was right about Puccini, but it's La Bohème, in fact. It's La Bohème, the artist at the start among all the Bohemians. A starter again. Which side, according to Sellers and Yeatman in 1066 and all that, was made up of people who were wrong but romantic?
Magdalen Arnander.
Cavaliers.
The Cavaliers, 10 points, as opposed to the Roundheads, who were right but repulsive, 10 points to Magdalen, a bonus of 15. Your bonus is about music connected with art. First, what is the title of this number? Here it is.
Painted Black.
Painted Black, the Rolling Stones, 5 points. Second, the title of this work is the name of an artist. Which? Here it is.
Cellini. Cellini?
Cellini is correct. Benvenuto Cellini by Berlioz, well done. And last, which artist is being sung about here? And here it is.
Starry, starry
Vincent van Gogh.
Vincent van Gogh, correct. Vincent by Don McLean, you didn't give us much of him. All right, a starter again. What is the connection between Chamonix in 1924, St. Moritz in 1928, Lake Placid in...
Magdalen Imla.
Host for the Winter Olympic
Winter
Games.
Olympics, correct. I'm sorry our buzzers are off there, but Jim, you all know the rules. Jim knows which to take, whichever hand goes off first, if for any technical reason the buzzers are off, and it was Imla by quite a long way. A bonus of 15 to Magdalen. First, where is there an 8-mile-long man-made feature known as the Gaillard Cut? Anyone?
Yes.
To hurry you?
The Hoover Dam.
No, it's the Panama Canal. It's the main excavated section. Second, after whom is the town named which stands at the southern entrance of the Panama Canal? It's Balboa. And last, in which year was the canal opened that allowed you to be 5 out? To hurry you.
1924.
Bad luck, you're 10-eyed, it's 1914, and here's the starter again. Which film star, born Marion Michael Morrison?
Maudlin Began.
John Wayne.
John Wayne, there's no holding of UWIST at the moment, I'm afraid, but my sympathies are with you. Lots of time to go in the second half for you to get as many points. There are 10 points to Maudlin, a bonus of 15. First, what name was given to the Acts of Parliament of 1831, 1887 and 1896, which required employers to pay all wages in current coin of the realm, the name being that of the system which was thereby outlawed? Anyone? They were called...
Payments in kind.
No, they were called the Truck Acts. Second, what was the term for a shop where employees exchanged their vouchers for goods under the truck system? Anyone? It was...
It's just company shop.
No, it's called the Tommy shop. And last, in the classic French film, The Wages of Fear, what cargo is being transported by truck or lorry through the jungle of Central America?
Some form of very unstable explosives.
Correct, very unstable explosives, nitroglycerin, 5 points. The starter again. What phrase, often used derogatorily by critics of American foreign policy, was first used to describe the policies of the Taft administration of 1909 to 13, whose intention was to control as well as support, quote, every legitimate and beneficial American enterprise abroad, though the phrase is often used more bluntly to imply the use of financial power as a diplomatic...
Maudlin Caffrey.
Dollar imperialism. Dollar imperialism.
Yes, I accept it. It was actually dollar diplomacy, but I can accept that. I'd provided the word diplomacy. Dollar was the point. A bonus of 15 to Maudlin. First, what is the more everyday word for what art historians often call a nimbus, particularly in its usual localized form?
A halo.
5 points. Second, what habitat is associated with any plant classified as a halophyte?
Yes, something to do with
Salty.
Yes, it grows naturally in a salty ground. 5 points. And last, which class of people had used the halo as an attribute before it was borrowed in Christian art?
Class or
What?
class of people?
Yes, which class of people? Which group of people? Before it was borrowed in Christian art?
Slaves?
No, the Roman emperors had used it as their symbol. Halfway through the show with the score scanning, Maudlin 175, UWIST about to take off at 20. I was simply at the moment, but lots of time to go. And here's the starter again. What does Mr. Jones ask to be sent at the end of the ruthless rhyme by Harry Graham, beginning...
Maudlin Arnander.
The half that's got my keys.
Brilliant, absolutely. There's been an accident, they said. Your servant's cut in half, he's dead. Indeed, says Mr. Jones, and please send me the half, as you say, that's got my keys. 10 points to Maudlin, a bonus of 15. I don't know what we can do about them. First, which newly fashionable drink does Pope describe in the Rape of the Lock-making, the politician wise and able to see through all things with his half-shut eyes? Anyone?
Coffee, I think.
Coffee.
5 points. Coffee. Second, who wrote a humorous cantata about the 18th century craze for coffee, which is known as the coffee cantata?
J.S. Bach.
J.S. Bach, 5 points. And last, who wrote a television play set in the Grand Hotel Eastbourne and called it Cream in My Coffee?
Potter.
Dennis Potter, correct, 5 points. Starter again. Which modern socialist republic is the region of the Roman lands of Dacia and Scythia?
UWIST Doherty.
Romania.
They're off Romania, 10 points. Very quick indeed. Beat the classics on the other side. A bonus of 15 to UWIST. First, what word is used in English for the avenging Erinyes of Greek mythology? Anyone?
The Furies.
5 points, the Furies. Second, which Italian poet wrote Orlando Furioso in the 16th century?
Rosto.
Ariosto, 5 points. And last, in the Bible, which son of Nimshi is described as driving his chariot furiously and has consequently become a byword for fast driving? Son of Nimshi drove his chariot furiously was... Anyone? Back of the mind, it was Jehu who drove furiously. A starter again. The longest examples of what in the United Kingdom are called Bramhope, Disley, Sodbury, Woodhead, Standedge, Totley, and Severn. Severn being the longest of all at 4 miles and 6...
UWIST Williams.
Bores.
No, from Henley Jews, full question, Maudlin, no conferring. Longest of all at 4 miles and 628 yards. You're on your own. It is...
Maudlin Imla.
Barrows or tours.
No, they're railway tunnels on the British Rail network. A starter again. I thought I was sounding like a station announcement as I went through them. A starter again, to give you a clue. Which American composer who died in 1864 wrote Swanee River, My Old Kentucky Home?
UWIST Doherty.
Foster.
Foster, Stephen Collins Foster, a bonus of 15 for UWIST. First, what is studied in demography?
Population.
Population statistics, 5 points. Second, what would a demographer mean by the initials ZPG?
Zero population growth.
Anyone?
0 population growth.
5 points. And last, the Office of Population Censuses and Surveys, now in Kingsway in London, has a register of English births, deaths and marriages back to a year which happens also to be the beginning of a reign, the first year of a reign. So which year do they go back to?
80.
I have to hurry, anyone?
Queen Victoria.
Yeah, which year, therefore?
1837.
1837 is the year they go back to, correct, 5 points. Starter again. What is the word for each of the two great principal arteries which supply...
Magdalen Began.
Carotid.
Carotid, correct, supply blood to the head and neck, 10 points to Magdalen, a bonus of 15. First, of what word is this a definition? In electrical and acoustic fields, the real part of the impedance, characterized by the dissipation of energy as opposed to its storage.
Resistance.
Resistance, 5 points. Second, why were French resistance groups in the Second World War known as maquis?
Because they hid out in the scrubland.
So what's the connection?
Well, because the scrubland's called something like that.
Called maquis.
Correct, maquis is the word for undergrowth or scrub, 5 points. And last, Brecht wrote a parable play about Hitler's rise to power, which he set in pre-war gangster Chicago. What is the play's title?
The Resistible Rise of Arturo Uri.
I have to hurry you?
No.
Yeah,
have to hurry you?
It's
Anyone?
Arturo Uri, the resistible rise of
As you
Arturo
say,
Uri.
correct. The resistible rise of Arturo Uri, 5 points. We go to our picture question. I got a bonus coming of 15, and here's a starter. We're going to see a diagram showing the mileages as the crow flies from a city to 3 others. Where are we measuring from? And there it is. Not to scale, of course, in its...
UWIST Williams.
Vienna.
Vienna is correct, 10 points to UWIST, and a bonus of 15. 3 more similar mileage diagrams. In each case, I want to know which city the mileages are taken from. The compass directions are correct, but of course, again, the spacing is not to scale.
Chicago.
5 points, Chicago. And second, this one.
It's
It's gone blank.
no. Lima.
Anyone?
Capital of Venezuela, Caracas.
No, Caracas, the capital of Brazil, Brasilia. And last, this one. Here it is.
Melbourne.
No, I'm afraid it is Canberra, the capital of Australia, Canberra. Starter again. Which phrase from Exodus is commonly used as the English name for lex talionis, the primitive principle...
Magdalen Began.
An eye for an eye.
An eye for an eye, the principle of retaliation, 10 points to Magdalen, a bonus of 15. First, what name of importance to those interested in the occult is given to the night of April the 30th, particularly in Germany?
Walpurgisnacht.
Walpurgis night, 5 points. Second, what name for a very ancient Jewish mystical tradition, based on an interpretation of the Old Testament, has been borrowed elsewhere for any group of magical beliefs?
Kabbalah.
Kabbalah, 5 points. And last, what word was used in medieval biological theory for the tiny human being believed to exist fully formed in spermatozoan or egg, which magicians tried to grow in bottles?
Homunculus.
Homunculus, 5 points. Starter again. By what treaty of 1420 was Henry V made regent of France and heir to its throne, to the exclusion of the Dauphin?
UWIST Doherty.
Troy.
Troy, Troyes, correct, 10 points to US, the bonus of 15. The barbarian tribes who overthrew the Roman Empire. First, which of the barbarian peoples was allowed to settle within the empire in the 4th century AD, but later sacked Rome itself in 410 and went on to establish a kingdom in Spain, which lasted until overthrown by Muslims in 711?
Goths.
Yes, one half of the Goths.
Visigoths.
Visigoths, 5 points. Second, which of the barbarians had a leader known as Flagellum Dei, the Scourge of God, who died in 453, a year after failing to sack Rome?
Huns.
The Huns. He was Attila the Hun. And last, which of the barbarian nations who sacked Rome in 455 had established a kingdom in North Africa based on Carthage, but were defeated by Belisarius in 533? Which of
Vandals.
the Vandals? 5 points. Starter again. Which animals were featured in the long-standing artistic conceit known as babouinerie, but became particularly fashionable when painted in contemporary or even Chinese clothes in 18th century France, the paintings then being known as singerie?
Magdalen Arnander.
Monkeys.
Monkeys, 10 points, a bonus of 15. First, what is grown in silviculture?
Wood.
Wood.
Trees.
Trees, 5 points. Second, which British writers' novels were made into the films The African Queen, The Pride and the Passion, and Payment Deferred?
C.S.
C.S. Forrester, 5 points. And last, in which forest was the armistice signed in a railway carriage at the end of the First World War on November the 11th, 1918?
Compiègne.
Compiègne, 5 points. Less than 5 minutes, here's a starter. The preface to which novel, first published in 1891, contains these statements? To reveal art and conceal...
Magdalen Ananda.
A picture of Dorian Gray.
Picture of Dorian Gray, there is no holding. Absolutely brilliant. 10 points to Magdalen, a bonus of 15. First, in what year did British Rail inaugurate the high-speed train to Bristol and the West Country? I allow you to be 2 years out. One of those dreadful dating.
78.
Yes, you do, but you get it, it was 76, so you're within the 2 years, 5 points. Second, in what year was the American Pacific Railroad, the first coast-to-coast line, completed? And I allow you to be 5 years out.
1875.
Bad luck, you're just one too many out. It's 1869, so 1874 is my limit. And last, in which year was London's first underground railway line, the Metropolitan, opened? And I'll allow you again to be 5 out. Metropolitan line. Are you?
1890.
No, as early as 1863, right back there. Less than 4 minutes, and here's a starter. Which merman, or demigod of the sea in Greek mythology, was represented as a man with the tail of a fish and was the son of Neptune and Amphitrite?
Magdalen Ananda.
Triton.
Triton, 10 points, a bonus of 15. First, whose parents are by tradition called Joachim and Anne, though there is no mention of them in the standard sources where she herself appears?
Virgin Mary. Yes, Virgin Mary.
Virgin Mary, 5 points. Second, what exalted position was taken up in 1808 by Joachim Murat?
He became King of Naples.
5 points. And last, Joachim replaced Joseph Bonaparte as King of Naples. What did Joseph Bonaparte become instead?
He became King was it Spain?
Anyone?
Spain or West?
Have to hurry you?
Spain.
Spain is correct. Napoleon just liked shifting them round from throne to throne. Less than 3 minutes, and here's a starter. What was the official 3-word name given to the earliest volunteers for what became the Home Guard after some 250,000 men?
Magdalen Caffrey.
Local Defence Force.
Local defence
Volunteers.
Local defence volunteers, very good indeed. 10 points to Magdalen, a bonus of 15. First, who became the husband of Roxana, daughter of the King of Bactria in the 4th century?
Alexander the Great.
5 points. Second, which early practitioner of the English novel wrote a romance entitled Roxana or the Fortunate Mistress, published in 1724?
Defoe.
Defoe, 5 points. And last, who wrote Jealous Guy, which gave Roxy Music a #1 hit?
John Lennon.
John Lennon, 5 points. Less than 2 minutes, and here's a starter. Aiming for 400. First, which house has been known by the magnificently simple address #1 London?
Magdalen
Apsley
Caffrey.
House.
Apsley House, 5 points, but 10 points, a bonus of 15. First, which portable musical instrument has a treble keyboard for the right hand and on the left side a series of buttons for chords?
Accordion.
Accordion, 5 points. Second, which Russian composer used the accordion, machine gun fire and sirens for his cantata for the 20th anniversary of the October Revolution?
Yes, yes.
Shostakovich.
No, it's Prokofiev. And last 5 points, which similar type of instrument has single note buttons on both ends and no button providing a chord on its own and is either square or hexagonal in shape?
Concertina.
Concertina, 5 points, still more than a minute, and here's the starter again. In 1948, the Criminal Justice Act carried out a reform of judicial punishment, which had originally been intended by the Chamberlain government in 1939 when war intervened. What practice did the act bring to an end in the UK?
UWIST Kavanagh.
Holding enemy citizens.
No, Magdalen, can you take it on your own, no conferring?
Magdalen Imla.
Use of the birch.
Yes, flogging, correct. Flogging in prisons, 10 points. To Magdalen, a bonus of 15. 3 questions about famous sieges. First, which city fell to the forces of Al-Ashraf Khalil on the 18th of May, 1291?
It's in Jerusalem?
No, it was Acre. Second for 5 points. Which city besieged by a Turkish army was relieved by King John Sobieski of Poland in 1683?
Vienna.
5 points. And last, which Greek city was besieged by the Peloponnesians for 2 years?
Plataea.
Plataea, correct, 5 points. And very little time to go, but they're striking for 400, which is our magnificent score. The English equivalent of the French phrase couper les cheveux en quatre is almost an exact translation and means to make finicky distinctions. What is the English phrase?
Magdalen Ananda.
Splitting hairs.
Splitting hairs, 5 for 10 points, a bonus of 15. First, what word is used for the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, and Luke as a group?
Synoptic.
Synoptic, 5 points, and that brings them to the magic 400. Incredibly rarely done. Second, what is the nature and special value of something in synchronous orbit?
It goes round at the same time as the body it's orbiting.
Correct, and so remains in the same place. And last, what word with the prefix? There's the gong with the score at Magdalen, a magnificent 405. UWIST, with all our sympathies at meeting a team on the most incredible form. 105, very bad luck, UWIST. Magnificent game by Magdalen. They're clearly a team to watch in the coming games of this knockout. So for the moment, it's a goodbye from UWIST. And from Magdalen.
Bye-bye.
And they will be back to play a semi-final later. And next week we've got our second quarter-final, which is between Birkbeck, London and Bangor. So we'll be back then. For the moment from me also, goodbye.